Welcome to Live for Moto, friends. Today I want to ask you, did you know that adventure is one of the most valuable components in emotional healing and well-being? Well, it's true. Let's talk about it. Much like an energy wave, every man and woman will experience high points and low points in life. These low points, however, seem to have a more intrusive effect on the well-being of our lives. Things like lost loved ones, repeated failures, repeated rejections, and abuse seem to have a more indelible and lasting effect on our lives than the high points do. When these negative things encounter our lives, many people don't know how to cope with this, and it does even more damage than the incident itself. In fact, oftentimes we do more damage to ourselves by what we do and tell ourselves in our own mind than what the actual situation itself would present in terms of problems or emotional pain. It is in times like this that many people will seek healing through a network of friends and family, and by surrounding themselves with pleasures that only disregard the problem, and in many cases make the situation worse through neglect. Most of us know that we have to face these problems head on when they come into our lives. But how do we get our minds prepared for the healing that must take place? We must do this by separating ourselves from the outside world. Today's society is under constant bombardment and overstimulation of negative ideas, negative aspects, politics, money, wealth, status, and these are the things that surround us on a daily basis. And these are the very things that we have to clear out of our minds in order to establish a neutral ground for proper healing. We establish this neutral ground through self-realization. And in order to establish self-realization, we must cut out the chatter and the noise of the outside world around us. And it is here, as motorcycle riders and enthusiasts, that we have one of the greatest opportunities to do that very thing. Many of you, I'm sure, have heard the term helmet therapy or throttle therapy. And while many of us laugh at terms like this, maybe we just don't realize how very real that kind of therapy is. It is legitimate therapy. Let me explain to you how. When you pull that helmet on over your head, one of the first things that you notice is that the outside world becomes significantly quieter. Next, you tighten up your chin strap, and then you start your motorcycle, and the rhythmic pulsation and sound of that engine starts to suddenly further isolate the outside world away from you. What begins to happen at this point, without us even realizing it, is that the only thoughts that come into our mind are that which we allow, not that which is put in there by society and the loud world around us. It is now in this environment where our minds can begin to heal. It is in this isolation, as you head off down the road, or up the single track trail, or over the mountain passes, that we begin to establish acceptance of who we are, what it is that we are facing in life, and what we want to have out of life, who we want to become. While psychologists and counseling sessions may be necessary in some cases, in most cases they cost more time and money than they actually provide in help. While our friends and family are well-meaning, and psychologists certainly have their place, more often than not, we can achieve greater healing results through isolation and contemplation. Most people I have met, when asked, have never actually taken the time to sit down and write out a list of why it is that they ride motorcycles. I have asked that question of riders many times, and upon reflection it is interesting to note that most of the reasons that people give for riding motorcycles are the very things that psychology teaches us that we should be doing for ourselves anyway. A feeling of freedom is one of the most popular answers I have received, and it is, undoubtedly, a freeing feeling every time that you turn the throttle on a motorcycle. It is the miles of alone time in your helmet with nothing more than your thoughts. It is seeing nature. Challenges do something magical for us along our roads, along our trails. The challenges that we come upon strengthen us, give us greater confidence, and many times we don't even realize it. There is also something to be said for the wind. It seems to push away negative energy. It changes the energy throughout your entire being. Your chemistry changes. Your mind, spirit, and body come into alignment with each other, and without even realizing it, immediately we are in that zone that starts to put us on good ground. We begin to experience things like acceptance, resolve, and a renewed energy to move forward in life despite the challenges. As adventure-seeking motorcycle riders, we have the opportunity to regain our emotional health and save ourselves the agony and the trouble that comes with trying to solve these problems through alcohol, drugs, and meaningless conversations with people who don't know our own inner selves. For us, the answer is quite simple. Get on your bike, pull on your helmet, and go get some therapy. Ride with a smile, my friends.